Hey everybody, my name is Todd Ronan. Welcome back. I'm joined with Liz Cross, and she was going to ask me some questions about my temporal awareness perception remote viewing course and how I got started, why I do it, why I teach it. How are you, Liz?
Oh, great. I wanted to interview you, Ronan. I love your course. Now tell me, I'm going to go right in there. And I know it's early, and listen, guys, they don't understand. Now you get it, Ronan. Now you get it. I get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to start doing work and start doing videos. Why, Liz? Well, because that's when it's quiet in my house.
The quiet time just before dawn. I love 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. It's so peaceful outside.
It is. It is. We call it the witching hour in the dispatch world, though. That's when you can kind of like sit behind the radio there and close your eyes for 5 minutes while your partner's like listening out, because things tend to just go a little quiet. All right. So tell me, temporal awareness perception remote viewing. Why do you call it temporal awareness perception? What makes it unique from the bog standard remote viewing classes?
Well, I was at a bar in Katy with a friend of mine, and she was talking to me about remote viewing and why I do it and why I teach it. And I thought, well, I teach something differently than what other remote viewers teach. And then the name came to me. I hit the bar and I said, tap. And then I thought, oh, it's tap remote viewing. That makes perfect sense. And we were looking at the beer, and temporal awareness perception just means that you're not always located in time, and you have to identify where you are in time when you start a remote viewing session. Well, you can move your perception through time. And we do that a lot when we talk with you about probing people. If you move your attention to a different point on the calendar, then you have more knowledge. And so some of the best remote viewers don't even use remote viewing. They just move themselves ahead to when they find out what the target is and give themselves feedback that way. There are some problems with that, but that's why I developed the temporal awareness perception remote viewing, because that way you're identifying where you're at in time and you can move through time when you're within the session.
And that's what I understand. My understanding, or how I perceive it, is what remote viewing is all about. To me, it's all about pinning down time and space. Because in the spirit world, there is no time and space. We only have time and space here on Earth because of gravity. And I guess there's time and space on other planets, or if they have gravity, but certainly for us here. But then outside of the Earth plane existence, there's no time and space. So would you agree with me that that is like what the basis of remote viewing is, or would you say it's more than that?
Well, the basis of most remote viewing courses are you're perceiving things, you're accessing your unconscious awareness. And in my method, mine is different because I teach you protection methods, and I teach you energy movement, and I teach you things that are not covered with your basic remote viewing program, because I feel like those things are important, but they're lost.
You know what worries me about remote viewing, Ronan, is I've actually probed it out into the future. And about 3 generations, remote viewing will be gone. As in the Stargate crowd. You know what I mean? The Stargate crowd, that bothers me. And I understand that they teach the old school military methods, and but that's where I'm saying that old school military method is going to be gone.
Well, you have to adapt and you have to do new things. And the way the world's changed in 50 years, when remote viewing came out in the 70s, you can't learn it that way because it's slow. It's too tedious. And so I wanted to adapt, and I wanted to make something malleable. But the course that I taught last January is different from the course that I'll teach this April, because I adapt too. And if your method can't adapt and can't spring to new concepts and new interpretations, then it's static, and it's not going to evolve. And I wanted to build something that's going to be, it's going to be more springy. It's going to evolve into another another evolution. This is TAP 2.0 in 2023. Well, there'll be another version in 2025, which could incorporate more things.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's that original military Stargate method that I feel is going, and people are clinging on to it. So tell us, how much of that original Stargate method do you have incorporated into your course?
I'd say it's about 30%. And, we want to keep true to those controlled remote viewing methodologies of your ideogram language, we go through stages 1 and 2, and then we kind of move and shift and pivot away from that. And my stage 3, 4, and 5 are a bit more malleable, less like
Ah,
the old CRV method.
okay. How are they more malleable?
Well, I can change, we can do more things in it, and it's more adaptable to what other people's skill sets are. So remote viewing assumes you can only do one thing, probe your unconscious mind. I get people in my class who are great sketch artists and they don't have an opportunity to build on that. I have people that are great visionaries and they can see things when they close their eyes. Closing your eyes is not part of the original Stargate methodology, but there are people that are very good at it and can see what they're viewing. And I have an opportunity for them to sketch that out, write that out, explain what it is that they're feeling, and what do the balls of your feet feel like? What are you perceiving? What is the energy like at that site? And we pick up on that and record that. And that's not in the standard controlled remote viewing methodology.
Wow. Okay. I know your course is great because I've seen it, and I've also received a lot of feedback from it. Now let me ask you this question. Sorry, I'm throwing these questions at you. You have no idea what I'm going to ask you today. So here's an issue. If somebody comes to you and their mind is just so exceptionally, insanely busy, right? They can't quiet their mind. They're one of those people. We have a friend like this. Can't quiet their mind. It's always running at full speed, at full high gear and going and going and going and going and going and going, and they can't focus. What do you do beforehand, or what advice do you give people before they start your class in order to get them to calm their mind? Do you guys do an exercise before the class starts?
Well, the answer is there are ways to settle your mind, and you have to practice settling your mind. I know people have busyness, they have worry, they have concern. And I teach you something called the power up process, where you're using your hands and you're feeling over your body where you have energy, where you have stress, where you have anxiety, and you're breathing through breathing exercises, and you're pulling that energy out. And you put it in front of you into what I call the personal energy transmutation device. And then you refill in the spaces with your right hand. And it's almost a little bit like a 3-minute self Reiki healing for yourself. And you push that upon yourself, and then you just feel calm and centered, and your brain is automatically attuned to the alpha awareness state where we want to begin a remote viewing session. There are some people who listen to binaural beats to do that, but I find that my power up process energy meditation works just as well. And then once you get to that place, you can set an anchor word for yourself. And so that you can always experience that Zen alpha state just by saying what that anchor word is. So any point in the day when you have stress, or when you begin a remote viewing session or a tap session, center yourself on that word. Then you're at the alpha state. You're relaxed, you're calm, your mind's not busy anymore.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty awesome, because that is a question that a lot of people try to meditate and they can't quiet their mind to meditate. It's a problem for people.
You can do it in 2 minutes. And when you get to that anchor word, then you can center yourself in just under 30 seconds. So if you're having a stress moment or someone cut you off, you can pull out that negative energy and calm yourself down and not have your emotions run wild with anger or busyness.
Wow. So what do you think people gain the most out of? I know what I gained, right? And you know what you gained, but because you're a teacher of remote viewing, what do you think people gain the most out of being able to do this?
They're able to center their minds. They're able to perceive information about anything. Now, remote viewing sucks at trying to find out what the lottery numbers are. And so everyone says, why aren't remote viewers millionaires? Well, numbers aren't real, but that's why they're hard to view. But it's also, it allows you the ability to know about anything without bias. So what remote viewing does is it opens the truth up for you with a capital T, and you know now what something the truth is about a target without bias. And for me, that's the most important part, because I can know anything about any place, anywhere, anytime, and not have my own cognitive bias coming through.
Yeah. And it's fun. You sent me that picture of the safe that you found in a field. Now you remote viewed that. And then you were taken to a specific location because of your remote viewing. What was your target on that, by the way? What did you set yourself as a target?
Oh, what was that target? So this is a project that I did with a friend of mine here in Austin, Texas. I was looking for my nearest unclaimed treasure. And so that was the base queue. And then I did about 30 different associative remote viewing queues where you're remote viewing a picture A or a picture B, and then moving on a map left or right, up and down, north and south, east and west. And so after a series of rounds of these, I identified this place on a map, and I had no idea what was there. We didn't even look on Google Maps, but my friend and I drove out there and we encountered this old airport. And it's not really an airport, but it's like a barn building and a long strip of dirt. And we got out of my car and we walked up to the trailer, and there was this 92-year-old that lived on the property. And he said, yeah, this is my airport, and I've been here for 50 years. They keep trying to close me down. But we talked to that guy for a long time and asked him about, if there's any treasure buried nearby. And he told us that there used to be a stagecoach trail that ran behind the airport. And then he had a building across the street, which used to be his post office. And my data indicated that there was some stock certificates over there that did have some value. And he wouldn't let us into the post office to get his stock certificates. But we went out there another time and met him and chatted with him. And then the third time we went out there to visit him, it had burned down. The airport and the stagecoach line and the trailer that he lived in burned down. And we found out that he had had a heart attack and passed away at like 96. But left there was this it was see if I can send you a picture of that. It was a burned out safe. And I tried to get into this safe thinking that I could find something of value there, but it turns out there was nothing in that safe. The value was still across the street in the post office. But we identified it just through remote viewing and just through the binary targets of finding out where it was. It was like literally an airport in the middle of nowhere that I would have never stumbled upon without my remote viewing data.
Wow. And there are treasure hunting groups, remote viewing treasure hunters. Who is the guy that hid all the gold or something in the mountain, and all the remote viewers were after that? You remember who I'm talking about? They talked about him a couple of years ago. And
There's a lot of gold out there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I believe somebody found it. But, those are the types of fun things that you can do with remote viewing.
Yeah, the Forest Fen treasure is what you're talking about. I did work on that too. And I got I can share you my session with that, but it was probably like a 3-hour session that I did on that target. And I uncovered where it was it was actually on a property outside of Colorado that I never got a chance to go to, but somebody else did eventually find it. But I got that it was buried underneath a kind of a stone trap door. And then the reason I found that it was in Chicago is because in my stage 6 drawing of the state flag, I don't know what state flags are, but in remote viewing, you can do a diagrammatic representation of a state flag. And I sketched the state flag of Colorado. And it was a great picture of the state flag of Colorado, even though I'd never seen it. My unconscious knew what that flag looked like and made a sketch of it on like page 34 of my session.
That's so cool. That's why I love remote viewing. It's awesome. So I know you've delayed your course by 1 week because a lot of people are on vacation. When is your next course?
That's right. So I teach temporal awareness perception. It's a 6-week course. It happens Tuesday night and Thursday night, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock Central Savings Time. I finally acclimated to the hour time zone change. We switched clocks in America, strangely, to try to get you uneven. And so I've adapted. My next class starts April 18th, which originally was going to be the 11th, but I just find that people are out of town. And I usually have a very good sense of timing of these things. So if you on the fence about wanting to sign up, you can go to realityforecast.com. You can email me from there. You can email remoteviewit@gmail.com or go to my website, Reality Forecast. And on YouTube, it's also at Reality Forecast. And we post shows and videos there each week as well. But it starts the 18th, April. Be there.
Yeah. Yeah, I highly recommend it. So, well, this is great. Thank you so much, Ronan, for explaining all this. I could talk about remote viewing all day, every day. I just love it so much. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Liz. It's good talking to you. I appreciate it.
Always. Thank you.